CBD and political party. We are talking about Barrister Ashu Julius, who is the subsection president in Wuri 4 constituency for CBD. I don't know if I got the title correctly. He will be telling us his real title in this edition of the program. Stay with us as we'll come back after this short jingle break. Barrister Ashu Julius, good evening and welcome to the program.
Good evening, Mr. Lasha. I'm very happy to receive you today and this year very, very well followed program called The Agenda. And I see the items of our agenda are very interesting. I think we'll use the opportunity to enlighten the population, enlighten the people about what is going on in our own area.
Maybe you, like I did mention at the introduction, maybe you tell us more about the position you hold currently now as you are climbing the ladder of the ruling CPDM and political party.
Yes. Anyway, yes, I'm a member of the CPDM, a proud member of the CPDM party. I'm the subsection president of Vola Continue at Vuri 4. I'm the chief of Sodiko 2 here in Douala. And I'm a lawyer based equally in Douala. And I've been here for the past 35 years.
Okay, you've been here for the past 35 years. Now, let's begin with this twist in events. Shortly, 4 days ago or so, Cameroon just celebrated the National Unity Day, and we are talking about unity and living together. But are Cameroonians really living together? Are we united? Are we living together?
Well, people usually make a mistake in mixing up the issue of the unitedness of the country and the unity state that was created in 1972. It is good for us to be reminded that in 1972 there was a referendum where two brothers, one of the former West Cameroon and the other of the former East Cameroon, decided to come together to create one country. So for all intents and purposes, since 1972 till date, Cameroon is still one country, which means we are very united. If we go into the digression of asking if people are united, that is lighting the fire on what is going on today called tribalism. Because we mix up those issues. The unity, the unity state that was created in 1972, that was celebrated in 20 May a few days ago, is different from the question you posed, because the question you posed has a different connotation. And to me, that connotation goes towards tribalism or regional groupings or small groupings to form the whole. And by so doing, we'll tend to be emphasizing more on the diversity than the unitedness of the country of two brothers who decided to become one. We should understand that if you bring in tribalism, it's going to bring hatred. It's going to bring confusion. It's going to bring strife. It's going to annoy so many people. Because at one point in time, to distinguish some persons from one tribe to another becomes very difficult. And you should understand equally that by the time the country was being united, as the two brothers coming together, I know in the former West Cameroon, we had this issue of tribe. Southern Cameroon or West Cameroon was one entity. Despite our differences, but one entity. But it's when we now we realized that on the other side of the Mungo, east of the Mungo, tribalism is so rife and it's a cankerworm which is difficult to eradicate. And that is coming now to gnaw into our society. But when we talk about 20th May, don't forget it's a unity of two entities to form one.
Okay, Barrister, we are talking about, you said unity of two entities to form one. When you look at what just happened in Samelima recently, where an indigene of Samelima was killed, of Bulu's origin, or indigene was killed by suspected, they call Bamuns and Bamileke tribes. What is actually happening that we've gotten to the level where we don't see ourselves as one?
This gangrene in our society, to me, came as a result of the approach to politics of some of us. You remember, this thing started around 2013 with the influx of so many political parties. We realized that some of them, instead of selling their political ideology, were busy pointing fingers and making others to hate another political party. It's been a sing-song for long. Right? Parties like MRC or their affiliates we always say the CPDM has done this, the CPDM has done that, without even presenting what they themselves can do, which may even be better. With that mindset, the extremists in those associations, the political parties, they've exaggerated the impact of spreading the word that some other person is bad. We soon realized that it became something about ethnic groups, village groupings. Look at a party like MRC. It's predominantly Bamileke. A party like PCRN is predominantly Basa. A party like UNDP is predominantly from the northern region. So when you realize that because of that, everybody now starts withdrawing to their own tribal groupings. And when everybody withdraws tribal groupings, evidently there's going to be a clash out of a lot of incomplete.
So who is at the origin of all this?
Nsungkikang, we talk about this issue in Samelima. Let's tell the truth, let people know. It would appear the guy who hails from Mamun was selling socks. And this guy who hails from the Bulu area bought the socks and didn't pay all the price and promised to pay half part of the price later on. Because the guy of Mamun has been coming for too long to ask for it, I think 500 francs or so, 1,000. He maybe made a mistake, or I don't know if it's a mistake or was knowingly, to say, look, if you don't give my money, you will die. Unfortunately for him, that guy died shortly afterwards. So the insinuation was that he is the one who has killed that guy. So that whipped up tribalistic instincts, tribalistic sentiments in such a way that they say, how can you come in our village? We'll allow you, you're operating normally. You say someone will die and he dies, means you've killed him. So they came to retaliate. And that's what caused the problem in Samelima. So at the end of the day, how do you feel it? Can you arguably say it's tribalistic or sentimental?
But are the politicians not the one at the origin of all this? And they might be blaming the ruling CPD and political party that they came up with the idea and infiltrated political parties to start preaching this hate from what you are narrating, that political parties, they are the ones who came up with it, by making sure that politics is done based on tribal lines.
CPDM doesn't do politics based on tribal lines. But as I say, other political parties came And we some sort of realize that there are more in tribal groupings than being spread all over the country. Look at all the parties. Most of them are sectarian. Except parties like, I think, SDA, which is a little bit different, which has almost all the colors. But MRC is predominantly Bamileke. It's not something we can hide. It's true. The truism. That's why if you notice recently, many people are not of Bamileke origins are leaving the party. So when you say politicians, yes, it's true. They're politicians. But they approach politics in a very wrong way. And by making it tribalistic, it's going to build up sentiments. It's going to cause conflict. And that's what we're witnessing.
Another point, Barrister, this issue of administrative tolerance, that there are existing laws and legislations which punish crimes or like that, but government apparently is not doing anything to save Cameroonians who might be victims of such social ills.
You know, the way our laws have been carved out, it is very difficult for the state to start investigating an offense if there's no complainant or somebody who denounces it officially. The state cannot sit on its own and start carrying on investigation because it thinks that an offense has been committed. Unless in issues of what they call flagrante delicto, caught in the act. Then again, if there's no complainant, it becomes very complicated because such a matter will be prosecuted. So what I say is that most Cameroonians sit on their rights. They complain about hate, they complain about hate speech and all those things in public, in hidden areas, but they don't do the right thing by writing a complaint or denouncing it officially.
So what you are telling Cameroonians these days is that if they discover that somebody is propagating hate or something that can bring division in a community or fight in a community, they should denounce that person by tabling a complaint at the competent authority. Yes. Is that what they are saying?
Yes, effectively, that's what I'm saying. Because you can't say somebody is spreading hate and you don't talk about it, you don't complain about it, but you want somebody else to punish the person for what? If you take somebody says something which causes you some prejudice, and you sit on it and you don't say anything, why do you think somebody will say it on your behalf? So that's what I'm saying. The problem is that let's not sit on our rights. Exercise it. Exercise that right you have to make a complaint. And there are so many ways of seizing the state, especially in criminally related matters. You can go directly to court. You don't even need to go through an investigation. If you have enough proof, you can go directly to court and sue the person who is spreading the hate speech. We're causing all of that. That's what Cameroonians will start doing. Don't sit on your rights.
These other issues that Cameroonians are raising, that the legislation or the laws which punish hate speech is kind of selective. That some big state authorities, they go about propagating hate speech, but nothing is done to them. But when somebody who is of zero or no background mistakenly or unconsciously promote hate speech, that person they come after the person. But the real people who have weight, they don't go after them. Don't you think that the laws is selective, or the application of those laws, they are selective?
Nobody is above the law. Everybody is equal before the law. Everybody.
We saw what came out of the Southwest Peace Forum recently.
Have you complained? You see?
Do I need to complain when the evidence are there?
Sure, if you feel that the evidence are there and clear, make a complaint. Yes. And those who made those hate speeches will be brought to book. Make a complaint. Don't just sit and say, because I'm not sure you're even there. But we heard, all of what we are saying is maybe hearsay. That they said so many things. Which were, no, so anyway, I'm not. I don't know. I was not there.
We read in the newspaper.
Yes.
Some of them were even named.
Yes, I was not there. Those who were named means there was some people listening to what they said. But why can you not complain? We have a right to complain. I complain against whoever commits an offense.
Even those that have immunity, how do you complain about those that have immunity?
Have you not witnessed that in Cameroon it is possible to uplift that immunity? All you need to do is apply to the authorities that be. Don't sit on your rights. Use your rights. I know Tonde Koto's immunity was uplifted. Not only was he a former military man, he was a parliamentarian. He was uplifted and he went to jail. Though he was released, discharged and acquitted. And he was Supreme Court, but he was under detention. He was sentenced at the Court of First Instance, at the First Instance before being released at the Supreme Court. So, but a parliamentarian or whoever who thinks is immune, that immunity can be uplifted at any time if you commit an offense.
Okay, Barrister, so what is the way forward? What should it really do as Cameroonians? Because apparently you're accusing politicians to have manipulated the population by doing politics based on tribal lines. What are we as Cameroonians supposed to do to make sure that we banish hate speech and xenophobia from our country?
First thing, join the CPDM. You learn that we don't hate anybody. We don't tell so many things about people. The party as a party, never. That's the first thing, join CPDM. Then secondly, learn to fight for your rights. Don't allow yourself to be messed up when you have rights. But you should understand that when you have rights, there are obligations too. You shouldn't go beyond the rights that you have. Because your right ends where your nose ends. Another person's rights starts from there. So you have to be very careful. So you don't go beyond your own rights. And I just Cameroonians are very intelligent. We know what is going on. We know. Every Cameroonian knows.
Why do we continue to allow ourselves as Cameroonians to be manipulated since we already know what is going on? What is so difficult for Cameroonians to understand that this is totally a manipulative scheme put in place by certain greedy individuals to put them at loggerhead?
First of all, I cannot talk on behalf of everybody. I can only talk about myself. I know that if you are a Christian, to go to heaven, there are two roads. One which is rough and one which is smooth. At times, the smooth one is misleading. At times, the rough one is the best. God gave us a brain to keep us thinking and doing what is, and think and do what is right. Everybody has that brain. You just need to make an effort to think and do it right. God never said that you go left or right. No, those roads are there. But you look at it and think and do what is right. You might at one time use a smooth road, but you're going to fall in a cliff. But maybe that rough road should be the best road to go to heaven. Use it. So it's a matter of choice. If you see a party that is tribalistic in its output, when you join it, it means you are condoning to tribalism. CPDM is not tribalistic. As a party, CPDM will never come out with the slogan insulting any other person. You know, in every rule there are exceptions. But I hardly deal on exceptions in my life. I deal on the rule, the principle. Because exceptions are exceptions. You cannot be in a flock of sheep. A lion is coming. You see one of the sheep going over towards the lion, and you two leave and follow that sheep. Means you are more, you'll be 2 times more stupid than the sheep, the first sheep. So you have to be very careful. Especially when it comes to societal norms. everybody knows what is good for society. But again, despite all the rules and regulations, there are people who will not follow those rules. That is why in society equally, those who go to prison are exceptions to the rule, not the principle. How to behave in society. As there are exceptions, we don't follow those guys going that way. We don't have to follow the guys who are going the right way. Those who avoid going to prison, those who respect the law, and those who abide by the law.
Barrister, let me take you back to the northwest region of the country. When this crisis began in 2016, and later in 2017, when it turned into an armed conflict, you were amongst the lawyer. Let me say, you were the only lawyer who dared drag the church to court for collecting money for school fees and did not open their doors for children to go to school. And now some of those actions that you took, people are realizing that you were on the right track. What you did in 2017.
I'm happy to hear that some people have realized that I was right. But you know, a lawyer cannot go to court without a client. As I told you, somebody has to complain. I had 6 persons who were complaining. Because you can imagine that they pay about 600,000 francs each in the month of September. And for no just cause, in the month of October, those mission schools decided to close their doors and ask every child to go back. The parents said, okay, maybe you're right, you can close your doors. But we just paid 600,000. Give us this money, we can take this money, we can pay the school fees of our kids elsewhere, since their doors are going to be closed. The church refused. So they took the court to church, the church to court, because they wanted their money refunded. Because the church was obstinate that no, we're not giving it back. So that was the bone of contention. But you see, when it comes to things about the church,
some people were saying, but how could a mere mortal, I don't know how to put it, take the church or take God to court?
Church is not God. Church is not God. The church is just a house where we go and worship God. But the priest and the fathers and the others should know that they are bare human beings like you and me. They can be anointed, but we'll know only on the last day, the judgment day. Because earth, God said there's no perfect human being. There's no perfect human being. All of us are human beings, so all of us are imperfect. So we can make mistakes. We can sin. We can do things which are wrong. All of us, including the priest. So when the church was just the church was brought in as being vicariously liable for the acts of his priests who are running the schools. You go and check on the mission schools. They don't have professionals that run those schools who are not priests. All of them are run by the priests. That's why the church is so much involved in the running of the affairs of those schools. So when they say they're closing their doors, normally it's not even the principal who's closing the doors, the church is the closing. Principals don't even do that. And when the church does it, the hierarchy of the church does it, they just follow. So it's not even their issue. So we ask the church, why do you even close it? They say security. Okay, fine. Issue about security is the responsibility of the state. The state say we can provide the security. Don't do it. They say, no, we don't want it open. And you know, there was this in the background of all this conflict, the church has been playing a very special role by encouraging it. How? You know, there was a conference in Bamenda around that time, 2017 or so, I think January, if my memory is good. Well, that is the 5 bishops of the Roman Catholic Church and the moderator of the Presbyterian Church, as well as the president of the Baptist Church. They met and made some pronouncements which are too political for the church. which was like encouraging what was going on. I was one of those who was scared of what was going on because I have lived in a war-torn zone. I saw it happening and I saw it coming. And I realized that civil strife is the worst thing that can ever happen to any country.
Unfortunately, you are a lawyer, and you guys are the ones that started.
No, what the lawyers did, they had a just cause, the lawyers and the teachers. Most of what they were claiming for has been sorted out by the state.
With what is happening now in the Northwest and Southwest region, can you still identify what is happening in the Northwest and Southwest? Mothers being kidnapped and tortured, people asked to pay ransom to bury relatives as pay reports of international rights groups.
Have you heard that lawyers and teachers are amongst those same people again?
Do you guys encourage them to go into the bush?
Lawyers ended where their own rights stopped. When the court reform came about in the translation of text, most of the lawyers backed out of this thing. But we know that amongst us at that same time, there were people who had a different agenda. Amongst the lawyers and the teachers, people had a different agenda. It was no longer only issues about the law or education. It now become an issue of federation, after a move to secessionism, after a move to restoration. Then suddenly, it became something of picking up arms to fight. That was the worst thing that has ever happened to us, west of the Mongo. To pick up arms, you have no country that is supporting you. You have no neighbor that is sympathetic with what you want to do. You don't have the finances. You don't have the trained army, militia. You go to prison yards. You free prisoners. I hear the prison in Kumbo, Ndop, and Wuma empty. There's nobody there. You free those convicts and you give them guns. When things become hot, because you should understand, the Anglophone issue became an Ambazonia issue. When Ambazonia issue is dying down, it has now become an issue of banditry, thieves. And who are the thieves? Those guys that you remove from prison yard and gave them guns. It is said, when once you are in prison, you have a criminal mind already. Do you think the way they left prison by force, without normally going through a normal rehabilitation process, do you think they'll still have a normal mind like you and me to see how they can do things in such a way that people are happy? No. They want to make money. That's why nowadays they are busy kidnapping people for money, carrying women for them to pay taxes. What taxes? What territory do you have? Because you want to ask people taxes, you will have a territory. You give them facilities.
No, but it's still a territory in Northwest and Southwest.
And they stay there, they stay in the bush, they don't protect the boundaries. What are you talking about? You have, if somebody dies, you want to go and bury, they ask you for money. Is that how they're going to do secession? Is that how they're going to have a country? And those are the type of people you expect to manage a country who have that type of behavior? Is that respectable enough for you to accept that so-called General Wat becomes a general in the army in the country that you belong to? Is that the type of person you like to rule you or to have your own kids enlisted in the army for training when they have a country? No. So it's not possible. What they're doing is not possible. So what they're doing now is thuggery, stealing, maiming, killing, spilling blood for no good reason. They know that as Amazonia it has failed too. They are very much aware.
So why are they bent? What are they bent on doing? What they
have guns. The thing now with that gun, those guns don't make money, and that's what they're doing. Those women, I'm sure they have like, I'm going to pay 5,000 or something like that.
No, the responsibility of government, because what you just listed, there are clear characteristics of a failed state, we are no longer able to control part of your territory or have ensure security over the population, then you have failed as a government.
No. An asymmetric type of war is a war that you don't know who is the enemy. And if you are not careful, there can easily be a lot of collateral damage. So any government that approaches this type of war is very careful. Like Boko Haram, Nigeria is, if you notice, Nigeria is not making so much noise about it because those guys are Nigerians. You can't just go like that for outright war on them to attack them. It's the same thing we have in the north and the west and south problem. We have a bunch of guys in the bushes who ambush the population, who disturb the population going on with normal activities. If the government comes down with the army to face them, there's going to be bloodshed. That's why it takes time to sort it out. I always make allusion to the Couper the route in those days in the Grand Nord. It took about 9 years for it to be eradicated. So it means the government has to be very, very careful when in dealing with such situations. At times the government is very hard. They go. When it's bad, they go. But once it can be managed, they tolerate some of those things and try to see if the arm of the law can take over where they will stop. Because if the government just declared a state of war, of emergency in the northwest and south region, do you know what will happen? Blood will flow.
Don't you think that this so much administrative tolerance is what is promoting what is happening in the northwest, the insecurity, promoting the insecurity?
If it was promoting, we should have moved from the Anglophone issue to Amazonia and now to the thieves. The mere fact that what was used to be political has disappeared. Because arresting those women, for example, is not political. It's for money. So political ideology is no longer exist. So the guns they're having now is to encourage criminality. But the arm of the law is there. But as I told you, if you don't, it's a gradual, it's a change from politics to criminality.
How will the arms be taken away from the people you call?
The government have been saying that we need collaboration of the population because the government will not like to go and make a mistake. For example, they can come and say, this house is full of armed soldiers, and they come and bomb it. Meanwhile, the information was not very correct. So the government has to take its time, get the right information to do the right thing. We know most of those guys who are in the bushes. They are our brothers, our cousins, our friends, our family mates, and things like that, and schoolmates. We know them. But if somebody doesn't come out to denounce who they are, it's difficult for government to trace some of them. I noticed that, if you notice very well, in the southwest, there's been relative calmness because the guys who surrendered their guns, some of them have decided to help the army to trace those guys.
So, but why do we still have the issue in the north?
No, it's coming. I told you the issue now was that, look at the triangle, Ndop, Kumbo, Wum. It's a triangle. And most of those guys are convicts, they were in the jail. So their mindset is not the same. That's what's making complaint. Their mindset now is not the same. But there's one young man called who was shot. I can't remember his name. He didn't die, but he wanted to trace somewhere like No Pity or whatever, where they are. He helped the army. The army needs that type of information. As I know, as of date, they're looking for those women, but they've not been released yet. But they're behind. They'll get them. The army is there. The government is there looking for those people very, very, very seriously. If the guys are wise, they should drop their guns, leave those women alone, and come back to normal life, or join the DDR center. Otherwise, they will be gotten.
Okay. Okay, Barrister Ashu, Julius, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your time. We hope that the information you have passed to Cameroonians this evening will help them a long way in bringing down tension, especially the xenophobic, the tendencies that we are witnessing in so many parts of the country. Thank you so much.
No, it's for me to thank you, to say to Cameroonians, first of all, that Anglophone is not a tribe. We too have many tribes in the Anglophone zone, Anglophone region. But you never hear that we are that tribalistic to differentiate, to distance ourselves from others. Those things we are seeing it mostly in the Francophone side. So it's high time we copy the good example that's coming from Anglophone zone. I know, for example, we'll be having problems with the Northwest and the Southwest have some sort of a divide issue, but it has nothing to do with tribe because there are so many tribes involved, first of all. And secondly, it's a regional issue and not tribalistic. Yeah. But that notwithstanding, we'll learn to know how to cohabit without there being any problem. We'll cohabit despite those differences. All I can say is that these our brothers want to carrying guns. Sooner or later, you'll be killed. I'm begging on you to drop those guns and join the rehabilitation center and to stop this madness, because it's pure madness. If you stop this madness and will come back to normal life, those who think that they are politically very strong to get what you want can get it. They don't need a gun to get that. You need just to talk to the population. You get their mandate and you change what you want to change.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Welcome.